Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border. Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday edition of Racing Across America. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. We will alert you, as you can see there, we're in the 3-box this morning because we have the final day of Royal Ascot, the high-quality 5-day meet that has been fun the first 4 days, and still some Group 1 action coming up today. We'll have all of the Royal Ascot action, including 2 races during this hour. We have one coming up in 3 or 4 minutes, and then a little after the bottom of the hour as well, some Royal Ascot. So we'll get you to those. I'll take a look at those before they run as well. So that's coming up today. We'll take a look at some other action from around the country as well. Ohio Derby today. We'll take a little preview of that and more. First, I just wanted to go over yesterday. I took the day off yesterday, drove down I-88 to the Cooperstown area. I have a couple of nephews who live in L.A., from Arkansas. One of my nephews and his family still down in Arkansas. My sister and brother-in-law down there, but 2 of my nephews are out in L.A., and one of them had my great-nephew playing some ball from L.A. They brought the 12-year-old team to the Cooperstown area, so I went down. They're right in the neighborhood, essentially, from across the country, so I went down to watch, and I would just recommend, if you're a baseball fan, maybe you have kids playing baseball, and you're thinking of a trip down to Cooperstown, let's go down and see the Hall of Fame. Take a little side trip over to Cooperstown All-Star Park. That's in Oneonta. That's where I was. And then they have another facility related right in the Cooperstown area. But you're driving down, you drive down and you look to the left and down a hill, there's 12 baseball diamonds. It's like Field of Dreams. It's Fields of Dreams, multiple. And it was a 12-year-old baseball tournament that goes for a week, and they do it all summer long. It's week-long tournaments all summer long. Teams from around the country. I was there, obviously, rooting for my great-nephew and his team, the Soba Sabotage Silver, Sherman Oaks Baseball Academy Sabotage, and there they are. And I got there just in time to see 2 great games. All the guys were playing really well. The first game I saw yesterday early in the afternoon, the bats were singing and they were playing really great defense. Everybody contributed, both sides of the ball. They won the first game pretty easily. And then the second game I watched, it was bonkers. I think it was 8-3 at one point. We were down, and I was kind of feeling like, I don't know, this other team, third game of the day too, maybe a little tired, who knows? But we're down 8-3, inched back 8-5, and then had a 4-run inning and made it 9-8 going into the last inning. The other team gets up, scores 2 runs. They're up now 10-9. Our first 2 batters made some contact but didn't get on base. And then I think they walked a guy to first. So we had a man on first. Young gentleman steps up to bat. I believe it was the first pitch over the fence. And so a 2-run walk-off homer. Everybody's going bonkers. As I say, it's fun. If you're headed down, you go down I-88, which this time of year is just super scenic, rolling hills, green, really easy drive. From Ballston, it's about an hour and a half, but it's all highway. You get off I-88, it's like 6 minutes, this Cooperstown All-Star Park. So as I say, if you're, maybe a little Hall of Fame in the morning and then some baseball in the afternoon or flip-flop the day. But if you're a baseball fan, there are 12 fields and most of them are in action. And from the cheers I could hear, there was fun action all around. So if you're a fan or you have kids who are fans, maybe think about it. I was there rooting for family, and it was 2 really great games. But B, it was a really great day. And as they say, if you're a baseball fan, it's probably worth an hour and a half. Free parking, free admission, and just go down and have some fun down there, certainly. As I say, the tournaments go on, look like from the schedule I saw, most, if not all, of the summer, the weekly tournaments. But it was fun. So, again, congratulations to the Soba Sabotage Silver, the team, the coaches, and the parents and family and friends as well. It was a fun afternoon. down there. And now I got to root for them through the weekend. They play right up until Monday or Tuesday. And I think today kind of the cutoff to reseed for tomorrow. So I'm rooting for them. All right, Royal Ascot about to go. Let's get you to the upcoming Hardwick Group 2 event. Again, a little bit later on, we'll have another race. That'll be the Group 1 Queen Elizabeth. But the Hardwick, I'm 9, 6, 8, and 12, and the number 9 taking the action. Unsurprisingly, it is Rebels Romance. So it's just going to be fun to watch this 2-time Breeders' Cup Turf winner for Charlie Appleby, William Buick on board. Rebels Romance, currently the even money favorite. But I have some others that are a little bit of prices. I have it 9, 6, 8, and 12. 6, 8, and 12 offering some value in there. But Rebels Romance is the number 9 horse taking the action in here. Race number 2 today at Royal Ascot for me. 9, 6, 8, and 12 as they go in the gate. We'll send it across the pond. So stay tuned.
And David Egan going into stall number 2. Set to race. And they're off and running in the Hardwick Stakes over 1.5 miles. Palladium away pretty well. Ryan Moore quickly looking across, closest to the rail. Space Legend, the gold sleeves going forward. Sunway is pretty handy with Ghost Writer in the violet silks. The Godolphin Blue Rebels Romance is wide on the course, just looking to get across now and become closer to the lead. The front 5 are being followed by Al Riffer, Candleford, the green and red, the inside. Bellum Justin following with Epic Poet in the next position. Burdett Road, Al-Azi held up, as is usually the case, in rear with the best turned out winner, Table Talk, as the fields head through their first half mile and run towards Swinley Bottom. And it is Space Legend and James Dorr leading to Sunway, Blinkered under Oisin Murphy in second. Ghost Writer is in third place ahead of Rebels Romance, the 2-time Breeders' Cup Turf winner, in fourth position. Candleford is next, and then Palladium in 6th place. Palladium is then being followed by Bellum Justin, who races on the inside of Al Riffer, and then the back quartet, Epic Poet on the inside of Burdett Road, and then Table Talk and Al-Azi. As the fields reach halfway in the Hardwick Stakes, less than 6 furlongs to cover. Space Legend, second in the King Edward VII Stakes here a year ago, in front of Sunway in second. Ghost Writer is in third with William Buick and Rebels Romance in fourth place, just over 2 lengths off the lead. Candleford, Tom Marquand the inside next, then Palladium still being followed by Al Riffer on the outside of Bellum Justin, and then in rear Burdett Road with Epic Poet, Al-Azi and Table Talk as they head into the turn and run towards their final 3 furlongs here. Sunway moving up on the outside of the pushed along Space Legend. Rebels Romance is poised to the outside. Ghost Writer driven, then Palladium. Al Riffer is making ground around the outside as Rebels Romance goes on to Sunway, takes over pretty easily. Al Riffer staying on to the outside. Palladium battling away with Sunway on the inner, but it's Rebels Romance and William Buick with the lead here. 1.5 furlongs to go. Al Riffer is chasing hard. He's got 2 lengths to find on Rebels Romance inside the last furlong. Rebels Romance with Al Riffer chipping away at the leader's advantage. It is Rebels Romance, though, who's holding his challenge, and Rebels Romance adds a Royal Ascot win to a glittering CV and takes the Hardwick 2 in second position. Al Riffer, then Ghost Writer.
We've got a winner on the board, and well done to the boys in blue. Godolphin Rebels Romance has won it nicely. They are loading now at Newmarket on the July course. Very quick selection there for you. It's going to be our pick. There is Elarak. Elarak's going to be up.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. It was Rebels Romance winning as the short-priced favorite. And I'm just looking at the signal coming in from the UK. They immediately shift to the next track. So I have it 9-2, and I'm not sure what the underneath was, so hold your tickets there. The 2 took some action, too. Al Rifa for Joseph O'Brien ran second. I think it's the second. Yeah, at 4-1 was clearly the second choice. So again, hold your tickets there. It was 9-2. Rebels Romance looked pretty good because it looked like the 2 was kind of starting to gain late, but no, Rebels Romance, as they said, adds nicely to the resume. Won the Breeders' Cup turf a couple of times. Now gets a nice group win at Royal Ascot to add to that. So nice victory there for Charlie Appleby, William Buick on board. Rebels Romance as the even money favorite in the Hardwick Group 2 event. Coming up again, a little after the bottom of the hour, we'll get that to you as well, and the rest of the card also. But there are a couple of Royal Ascot races during the show. But coming up next will be the Queen Elizabeth II, 6 furlongs on the turf. Nice full field here. But an interesting week. The Americans, always fun to root for the Americans over there. Patrick Biancone, his Lenny Lou, who won that Win and You're In down at Gulfstream. They have a couple of them. The George Weaver runner didn't do so well, but Lenny Lou wound up running third at Royal Ascot earlier in the week. So that was a nice performance there off the win down at Gulfstream to get in. So it's been a fun week, as it always is, Royal Ascot. Probably the highest quality meet, I would say, given that it's 5 days and kicks off with a Group 1. And again, there's a Group 1 today. The Group 1s throughout. It is a high quality, and it's a fun meet every year to kind of kick off the summer season, it seems like. So we will, as I say, have the next event coming up. They haven't changed the off time, but it'll be about 10:40 or so. We'll go for the Queen Elizabeth II, and then continue on after we wrap up this show as well. So if you're playing along Royal Ascot, we will have all of that action here. Let me update you on promos and events. First, let me tell you the carryover at Churchill. And I said earlier this week, I mentioned it a couple times as well. Normally, the jackpot wagers, I don't mention the carryover because jackpot, you have to be the lone winner to score. And so these jackpot carryovers can just keep going and going. But when it gets up there, and at Churchill, they're at $875,000. And it's a 20-cent increment. So, even if you don't hit the lone prize, the consolation can be okay and maybe worth taking a little bit of a shot at. Again, $875,000 in the carryover at Churchill today. And Churchill is an evening card, and we will have the nighttime thoroughbreds available today right here on the network and via Capital OTB Bet as well. So keep that in mind for today and tonight. Nighttime thoroughbreds available. That'll include Canterbury, and there's the Canterbury Derby today. I'll touch on that a little bit. Canterbury Derby, and then there's a little undercard stake as well, the Lady Canterbury. And they're both worth $50,000. Every once in a while, you get a couple interesting horses in there. And I still think there's a couple interesting horses in. But again, it's not like the Canterbury Derby isn't like, well, it isn't like the Ohio Derby today. There are some of these Ohio Derby, West Virginia Derby that offer up decent purses and attract kind of the next level down or the up-and-comers. And at $50,000, Canterbury occasionally will get kind of one of those, but it's not quite as strong. But it's a fun card tonight at Canterbury. And again, we're offering the nighttime thoroughbreds. Also want to alert you that here at the Clubhouse Racebook today, $100 win-a-bet come on in, enjoy all the racing action, grab a little lunch at Black Bear, but also a win-a-bet contest. Gives you the chance to win a little bit something extra on this Saturday afternoon. That's 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And do want to keep reminding you that you're going to want to tune into the network Monday afternoon because we're going to be live from the Finger Lakes. It's our OTB on the road trip for Monday, June 23rd, out to the Finger Lakes. We'd love to have you join us, not just here on the network, but we'd love to have you join us out there. I always say it's a fun and an easy ride in that you're just on the throughway until you get the exit. And then, I don't know, less than 10 minutes from the exit, there's the Finger Lakes. So if you want to come out and join us, come over to our location and say hello. We're usually right up at the top of the grandstand section outside. And I'm sure they'll have us in that spot again, which is a great spot. But if you can't make it, watch here on the network. And whether you can or you can't make it, sign up to get your chance to be on the bankroll team because we will have an OTB live bankroll coming up on Monday as well. The bankroll is currently open. We will close it sometime early afternoon, probably tomorrow. But you still have time to put your name in the hat to get on the Finger Lakes on the road bankroll team. I'll be playing throughout the afternoon on behalf of the team. So if you go to capitalotv.com, click on the promotions link, look for the on the road bankroll graphic, click on that, fill out the form, and again, we will randomly select the team that I'll play on behalf of throughout Monday afternoon. Looking forward to it. Should be fun. Always have fun out at the Finger Lakes, the hospitality they offer. All right, let's, as promised, let's take a little look at the Ohio Derby. Grade 3 event out at Thistledown today, scheduled to go off at 6:20 our time. That's race number 12 at Thistle. Mile and 8, grade 3 event, $500,000 up for grabs. And again, these are the kind of races that get, the second stringers maybe a little too blunt, but horses who have maybe tried the top level earlier and didn't get it done, so they're looking for a confidence builder, and maybe they'll go back to high-level competition with a nice performance today. Some of the bigger outfits will typically have, they have their A-level guy, and then they have the B-level guy who can bounce around to West Virginia Derby, Ohio Derby, and that kind of thing. And there's a mix of those kind of horses in here. Nice article in the Racing Form kind of making that point that some of these have had, an interesting first half of the year that leads to this race today, and we'll see what happens going forward. One of the interesting horses is going to be Clever Again for Steve Asmussen. We're going to take a look here going back to March 30th. This is the Hot Spring Stakes down at Oaklawn. Clever Again takes them all the way around and does it with a 101 buyer. And so you have to appreciate the triple-digit buyer for Clever Again. Excuse me, it was only the third start. It was coming off a maiden breaker. So this was kind of impressive for Clever Again. Subsequently tries the Preakness and goes off at 5-1. And if you remember that, Clever Again was in the midst of that scrum. And if you can say one of the horses got the worst of it, it might have been Clever Again as he got bounced to the fence and whatnot. Subsequently, the next Monday or Tuesday, Steve Asmussen was on the radio with Steve Bick, and he was clearly not happy with what had happened and kind of felt like we're going to have to get Clever Again on the track and work out a little bit and see if mentally, because Clever Again got bounced around pretty good, that turn for home in the Preakness. Well, there was a follow-up article in the Racing Form. I think it was Nicole Russo wrote it, but the connections of Clever Again said came out of the race, physically was fine, and they've now worked the horse a number of times and does not seem to show any ill effects. There was no mental effect of being kind of in that bounced around situation in the Preakness. In fact, they noted that they had worked the horse on the inside a couple of times and didn't seem to bother Clever Again. So that's, good to know. Came out of it none the worse for wear other than getting bounced around and having it certainly affect the finish where wound up ninth, took a little action at 5-1. But the Preakness was only his 4th career start off a couple of wins, the maiden breaker and that nice win in the Hot Springs. So Clever again is going to be very interesting in the Ohio Derby today. McAfee comes out of a close-up second in the Peter Pan for Rick Dutrow. I think he's very interesting today. Ran 5th in the Wood Memorial, but the follow-up to Peter Pan with a pretty good number, a 93, says this one may be just getting better with experience. Only 5 starts for this one. Moplex is interesting as well. Moplex is one of those New York breds I talk about quite a bit. They're talented New York bred. And so they have a number of options. They can pick off the New York bred stakes, which offer some nice money, or they can go into open company. And this horse is, proven that theory. Ran 3rd in the Champagne last year. Champagne, obviously a grade 1 for open company, had run 3rd in that race, but just prior won the funny side state bred stakes race with a couple $100,000. 2 starts back to kick off this season. In March, tried the state bred Gander and was a close-up 3rd, less than half a length. And again, it was a seasonal debut. But then last time goes in the open Bayshore and wins that. So this is a nice little New York bred for Jeremiah Engelhardt. Moplex shows up in the Ohio Derby. And it's notable, you'd have to look at this as plan B. Because if you remember at Saratoga, there was a barn during Saratoga that was under a quarantine. Moplex was in the barn. Now, the quarantine said these horses couldn't race, but they could train. They just had a certain set of training hours for the quarantine horses to be on the track. And so Moplex continued to train right up here at Saratoga. In fact, shows a bullet workout on the Oklahoma just a little more than a week ago. So he missed the Mike Lee, a rich 3-year-old restricted state bred stake. So he missed that, but he continued to train. And in the DRF article, Jeremiah Engelhardt said, he missed that one, but he's been training. And, we think he's good enough to fit with these. And again, the win in the Bayshore kind of verifies that. So Moplex to me is intriguing. All of that said, I am swinging for the fences. I'm going to use Capo Luca in here, and we're going to take a look going back just 10 days ago, June 11th. This is Capo Luca getting it done at Thistledown. And on these kind of days, and you can see it's a nice little charge here down the stretch, and lined up winning by chart margins a length and a half. But on these big days at these tracks, a lot of times the local hero, quote unquote, local hero, runs very well. They can pick up maybe an undercard stake, or at the very least, I'm using Capo Luca in trifectas and superfectas because we're getting 10-1 on the morning line. And I think because you have, Steve Asmussen in here and Rick Dutrow and some horses that have faced the top level earlier in the year, I think the Thistledown product may get overlooked a little bit. Came up from Oaklawn to rip off 3 straight victories at Thistledown. So it's clearly shown an affinity for the track. It's a brand new surface to most everybody else. Certainly the horses who are most likely to take the action. So again, I'm going to just swing for the fences a little bit in here and hope the hometown hero. I would say number-wise, probably has to step it up, but not a lot. I mean, on best efforts, maybe a lot. But I think what most of these are consistently throwing is well within the scope of Capo Luca if this one continues the progression of improving buyers. So I'm going to roll the dice a little bit, swing for the fences, pick your phrase. I'm going to go with Capo Luca in the Thistledown 12th, again, going off about 620, the Ohio Derby. I have it 3, 4, 10, and 6. So Capo Luca over McAfee, over Moplex, over Clever again. Chunk of Gold is an interesting runner in here as well. You may remember that one running a good second in the Risen Star, ran a good second in the Louisiana Derby behind Tiztastic. came into the Kentucky Derby and kind of clunked there, running 9th, but had some trouble in there. So Chunk of Gold is intriguing. Again, these are the kind of races where bigger outfits, again, might have the A team and the B team, but some of the smaller outfits maybe just let's take another shot and get a confidence builder and then move back into that A-level competition, perhaps off of this. Haskell, Jim Dandy, Travers, how the timing might work out into the summer. So it's a fun race. A field of 10 scheduled, again, with some horses that have been in the mix with the big boys, so to speak, earlier in the year, and now kind of regrouping for $500,000. Not a bad regroup. And then you toss in a horse like Capo Luca. It's a fun race coming up. Just before that, also on the card at Thistledown, ungraded, the Lady Jacqueline for Fillies and Mares going a mile and 1/8. Ungraded, but $250,000 and decent little field in here. I pulled up a replay going back to March 15th down at Oaklawn, and we're going to watch Where's My Ring get a victory. And I pulled this up. This is 3 starts back for Where's My Ring, but it's a 103 buyer. If this horse can repeat anywhere near that, clearly the one to beat in here. It's a Peter Miller trainee. Followed this up with a 3rd in the Apple Blossom behind Torpedo Anna, and then ran 6th in a stake last time at Churchill Downs. But again, that race we just looked at, a 103 buyer. And I will say, subsequently did not live up to that. It has the look of an aberration, but if things play out, as I say, I don't think we have to get to that. I think if we approach that in the 90s, I think is good enough to get it done here. But even a 90 for this horse is going to be ran a 90 in the Gazelle last year, but otherwise that number, that 103, does look like an aberration. So it'll be interesting to see what this one does. Peter Miller, Mike Smith scheduled for the ride. All of that said, because that number was an aberration, I put that one in the 2nd spot. And to me, the more likely is Penoir. Jose Ortiz on board for Rudy Brissett. This one consistently, to me, has a little bit of an edge number-wise on Where's My Ring. Again, that 103 jumps out. We get close to that. But Penoir just seems to be tossing out numbers that a little more consistently probably have an edge on Where's My Ring, a little bit of an edge, and then an edge on the rest of the field as well. The same, hometown hero thought that I tossed out a few minutes ago in the big race. In the 3rd spot here, a horse who is a Thistledown runner and a very good Thistledown runner. 25 starts at the Ohio track, 10 of those wins, 8 seconds, 6 thirds. Candlelight Hours in the Lady Jacqueline. And also an angle I like quite a bit. I've talked about it over the years and has worked out well for me over the years. A horse comes back from a layoff, makes the 3rd start back, which is always a nice angle, but stretches out after 2 sprints. And that's exactly what Candlelight Hours is doing at a 12-1 morning line. Couple of 6 furlong sprints. This is now the 3rd start back, stretches out. So that 5 is also very interesting to me in the what'll be the 11th today at Thistledown, again, just before the Ohio Derby. Going to go off at about 5:30. And, oh, boy, they're learning for the big boys here. I just realized the 11th is going off at 5:30. The Ohio Derby, 6:20. Close to an hour. Well, 45 minutes, but still a little extra time in there to get to the windows for the Ohio Derby. All right, we're going to take another break. We are getting closer. I'm just looking at about 10 minutes to the QE2. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. I'll take a look at that QE2, and then we'll send you over to Royal Ascot for a little action across the pond as we continue on this Saturday morning racing across America. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at CapitalOTB.com. Welcome back. Just pulled up the official result and check your tickets. It looks like there was a dead heat for fourth at Royal Ascot, as there are two superfecta payoffs, but it was 9-2-7-8, 9-2-7-11. So it looks like it was 9-2-7 dead heat for fourth, 8 and 11. I'm assuming dead heat for fourth because they're, I don't have a chart here, but there are two superfecta payoffs. So point being, again, check your tickets in there. But for the having the $4 and change favorite, Rebels Romance, the favorite over the second choice, wound up with a $24 exacta. So it wasn't bad if you used a little Rebels Romance over Al Rifa. Again, favorite and the second favorite, and the favorite being kind of an overwhelming even money choice. But we move on now to race number 3 at Royal Ascot. Today, again, the final day of the prestigious Royal Ascot meet. Group 1 event here in race 3, the QE2, Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee, 6 furlongs on the turf. I am 10, 13, 8, and 5. Let me just pull up our odds here. The 11 is taking the. I was not sure, and I had a pretty good idea that I was going to be kind of taking some shots in here, looking at the morning line for the most part. That my 10 was 20-1 on the morning line, sticking at 21. Sajir goes out for Andre Fobb, Ocean Murphy on board. Off, I thought of some decent starts this year, and I thought I had the potential to build on that a little bit. So the 10, very interesting to me in here. And again, we're holding at a very good price. Top Gear, the 13 has a 3-race win streak coming in. Only one of those this year, though. That was over at Longchamp. But again, comes in obviously in good form, wrapping up the season last year. And with the first start of the season this year, we are looking at a generous 9-1 from a 7-1 morning line. So that one's come up a couple of ticks. Third spot, I went with Lazat, the number 8, 5-1. We were 5-2 on the morning line, so we doubled the price. But this one comes in off a nice win, Shanti, a nice win, and I thought this one was coming in good form. And then the number 5, 4-1 on the morning line, holding at the 4-1 off a win as well to start the season at York. As I say, the betting public is going with the 11, Japanese runner who overall 8 wins in 13 career starts. And we all know how well the Japanese runners have done as they've kind of moved around the globe the past 2 years, really, maybe a little bit longer than that. So interesting, as I say, this horse was 9-2 on the morning line. We're now looking at 7-5. So it's clearly taking plenty of action. Again, the number 11. I did not use the number 11. Given my prices, I may be forced to do a little $1 exacta buy. You can put 5 of them in for $20, and I get a couple of my prices in, as opposed the 11 would be kind of the backup. But even if one of my finishes on top, as we saw in the last race. I think if you get a price on top, even with a short-priced favorite and a nice full field, it could offer a little bit of value. But if you beat that favorite, I think it'll be definitely worth a little bit of a pop in there. So again, Royal Ascot in the third, the Queen Elizabeth II, 10, 13, 8, and 5 for me. I might throw 11 a little bit into the mix as well. So interesting, again, as in the last race, it was a 12-horse field, so field size makes difference. It makes a difference. And in here, you have originally a field of 16, 6 scratch, so it's a field of 15. That's going to add value to the exotics as well. I'm surprised that the Japanese runner is taking so much action. Now 3-2. As I say, on the morning line, we were 9-2. And it looks like a much more competitive field than that. But and that's it's now dawning on me with the Japanese runner. I'm wondering if this is open Japanese pools, and they do like to send it in on their kind of national heroes. So that might play into it a little bit. We'll find out if they knew correctly on the Japanese horse, including the folks in Japan who potentially are sending it in there. We'll find out in just a few minutes. But I'm just looking. It looks like a couple of minutes to post, so I'll step back. We'll send it to the third at Royal Ascot and let you listen to their commentary a little bit as they move towards the gate. Again, coming up, the Group 1 QE2 Royal Ascot.
Now, Saturno Rev represents Noriyuki Hori and João Moreira. Smart performer winning the Takazula Kinan at Chukyo in March and was a good second to Kiying's Rising in the Chairman's Sprint Prize at Sha Tin last time. This is very, very much up his street. A stiff 12:07 journey. And João Moreira is an excellent pilot. Top Gear, Christopher Head and Stefan Pasquier. He's on a 4-timer mission. He's by Wootton Bassett, won the Group 2 Challenge Stakes at Newmarket and picked up where he left off, winning the Group 3 Prix de Palais Royal 4 weeks ago. Flora of Bermuda for Andrew Balding and PJ McDonald. Marco Body and Marco Gianni. Great Generation. Now, Great Generation comes into this being given the best turned out prize by the Queen herself. So the Queen has judged the best turned out award, and she's given it to this filly, Great Generation. And Night Eyes, who is a massive price at the bottom, progressed in sprints, but is right up against it here. Listen. This is a race that's been won by Hello Yumzane, Dream of Dreams, Naval Crown, and Cardem for the last 2. And Cardem was a massive price on both occasions. But listen, I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind that Saturno Rev, okay, and Lazart are very, very interesting here. Okay. Now, Lazart represents the Wathnan Racing team, and James Doyle takes the ride. I am going to go with Saturno Rev, though, because I think João Moreira and Noriyuki Hori have found a really, really good chance to get a real good prize on the board for Saturno Rev. The performance at Sha Tin last time, for me, was arguably better than the win at the Takazula Kinan at Chukyo previous to that. And it's been slim pickings for international raiders in this race and at Royal Ascot generally the last few years. But I think this Japanese runner has got every chance of ringing the bell. And I think I'm going to go with that one. I've got to say, the other runner that really caught my eye was Christopher Head's runner, Stefan Pasquier on board, the Prix du Palais Royal winner from 4 weeks ago. And this is Top Gear. So Top Gear and Satono Rev are going to be my selections in the QE2 Jubilee Stakes here at Royal Ascot. £500,000 and a bit more to the winner. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. And Simon Holt is going to call them home.
Top Gear about to follow. Satono Rev in the green, yellow triple diamond. Going up now is Ines Sharon. Ines Sharon to go into stall 13 towards the stand side. Storm Boy in 15. Grand Grey and Great Generation, the next two. Grand Grey going in. Great Generation under Marco Gianni for Marco Botti will be the next one. Here is Lazat in the red cap. Satono Rev will be going into stall 16 on the extreme right, the stand side. Now, problem with Sajir. The rider, Machine Murphy, has just stepped aside. Maybe Sajir got a little upset in the stalls. Satono Rev going forward. So too Anaf. Here's Jasur, Run to Freedom, Night Eyes. Machine Murphy walking away from the stalls. Is Sajir going to go in or... And Sajir is out. Sajir is out. Flora of Bermuda going to be the last in. They're lined up. And they're off. And a slow break from Anaf towards the centre. Satono Rev is on the extreme right under Joe Moreira, the favourite. And Lazat goes on in the early stages, red cap from Ines Sharon. And Storm Boy showing speed down the near side track by Satono Rev. Far side is Top Gear, followed by Grand Grey over there and Run to Freedom and Flora of Bermuda. In the centre of the field is Elite Status from Jasur. Further back then, Iberian Night Eyes towards this near side, followed by Anaf, who's recovered partially from the slow start, and Great Generation. The main body of the field on the left are headed still by Lazat from Top Gear in second. France Challengers first and second. They're chased now by Elite Status and Ines Sharon, who's being pushed along. They're followed then by Grand Grey on the far side, Run to Freedom, and then Iberian. Down the near side, here comes the favourite Satono Rev, beginning to accelerate now and challenging Lazat. Is Lazat on the far side to Satono Rev, is produced by Joe Moreira as they race down to the final furlong. Lazat with a narrow advantage. Satono Rev is trying very hard. Lazat a stout stare at the trip, holding Satono Rev in a terrific battle. It's Lazat who wins the Jubilee from Satono Rev, a near miss for Japan. Flora of Bermuda back in third. Jasur followed home by Night Eyes on the far side, Iberian, and then Ines Sharon and Grand Grey and Elite Status. Run to Freedom, Great Generation, Top Gear, very well beaten off along with Storm Boy.
Another one for Wathnon Racing and the Rainier team in France. Lazat has beaten João Moreira. A French runner beats a Japanese runner. With
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
So again, it plays out kind of logically in the QE2. The favorite is beaten, but runs well. The Japanese runner at 6-5 just made a nice late run, but Lazat had the jump, and that one was the third choice at 9-2. So again, played out kind of logically in there. Third choice over the top choice in the QE2. And again, plenty of action coming up. The Jersey Stakes is up next, Group 3 event at Royal Ascot, and we'll have all of that action here. Just those couple of races were during our show, but we'll have all the rest of the Royal Ascot action coming up as the morning progresses into early afternoon, wrapping up Royal Ascot day 5, wrapping up their meet. All right, I mentioned earlier, going to talk about some of the stakes from around the country, and we hit on the 2 races from Thistledown, Lady Jacqueline and the Ohio Derby. But tonight at after 10 p.m., a night card down at Churchill, it's a nice Grade 2 event, the Chicago, $300,000 up for grabs for the fillies and mares going 7. And this is a nice field. You have Vava in here, friends at West Point and Company, Cherie DeVoe trainee. Going to be interesting to see if she can get back on track. Ran 8th in the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf, and then started the season with a 7th, and the really talented Copian in the Derby City Distaff. Again, we'll see if she can rebound. Irad Ortiz scheduled for the ride. I went with Zeitlost, however, and we're going to take a look here back on May 17th. The Ski Pat, it is going to be Zeitlost getting it done in here under Jose Ortiz that night for Steve Asmussen. But tonight, scheduled that afternoon at Pimlico. But tonight, Flavian Prat scheduled to be on board Zeitlost. But off of that win last time to start the season, and because it was the start of the season, maybe we move forward from that. Zeitlost, to me, is interesting at an 8-1 morning line price. Second slot, My Main Squeeze. Talked a little bit about it earlier when we talked about Moplex and the Ohio Derby, but My Main Squeeze, really nice New York bred. Very nice New York bred, trained by Mike Maker. So nice that they haven't gone back to New York bred company for a while. They've been in graded stakes really going back to over a year. February of last year was the last time they tried the state bred stakes races. This one's 2 for 2 at Churchill. Most recently was up in New York in the Grade 2 Ruffian, ran 3rd in there. Prior to that, the Grade 1 Madison at Keeneland, ran 3rd in there. So talented New York bred. She'll be fun to watch tonight. Emery in the mix for me for Brad Cox. Comes out of a 5th in the Derby City Distaff, but a good 2nd in the aforementioned Madison over at Keeneland, just in front of My Main Squeeze. So Emery is intriguing. Claret Beret for Safi Joseph. Starter handicap down at Gulfstream last time, won off the screen by almost 20 lengths as the 3-5 favorite. That seemed to be a little bit of a confidence builder, potentially, to come to a spot like this. Be interested to see what she does tonight. I didn't use Vava. I went back and forth. I could have put Vava on top. It's that kind of a race where I think you can kind of make arguments for and against a few of them in here, and more for than against. I mean, I think there's a lot of talent in here, and certainly Vava has some back numbers. that are very good. And she's very good at Churchill as well, with 4 wins and 5 career starts at Churchill. And last time it was the seasonal debut, and we'll see. But again, that's tonight. Supposed to go off at about 10:11 at Churchill. It is the Chicago. Some notable names in there. Also tonight, and again, we are taking nighttime thoroughbreds. I mentioned it earlier, the Canterbury Derby. And as I said, this isn't on the same tier as Ohio Derby or West Virginia Derby, which put up some big money. This is a $50,000 race, but if you're playing tonight, at a 7:40 Central Time, so about 8:40 our time, mile on the grass for the Canterbury Park, the Canterbury Derby, 7, 6, 1, and 2 for me. Sushi Man comes in off a nice win when switched to the turf at Canterbury last time. Just seems to be one of those where you look and you think, maybe this horse wanted grass the whole time, because an improved effort. Now, it was against Statebred Maidens, going to step it up today. But again, it may just be this horse is much better on the turf. We'll find out more about that one tonight. At the morning line, I had that one circled and checked, because the morning line is showing 2-1. Again, stepping out of a Statebred Maiden race, I kind of want more value, but I'm not sure we'll get it. Canyon Streak comes up from Texas. I think that's an intriguing move for this one, who has a nice little record so far. RNR Audible, also a player off the move up from Tampa to Canterbury and won. Now, this one's a little bit of an unknown on the turf in that most of the races were on the dirt. The one turf race down at Tampa was nothing to write home about, but the horse looks talented. And you're getting 10-1 on the morning line there. And that one, I think, has questions, like the top pick has questions. So if you get that disparity in price, you can maybe take a look. Smokin' Boy is interesting in that they got ambitious with this one. Tried the Sam Davis, didn't run well there. Tried the Florida Derby, didn't run well there. Tried a stake at Prairie Meadows last time, didn't necessarily run well there. But at the $50,000 purse level, Smokin' Boy, going to be interested to see if this one can kind of make the most of the class move, as it were, in here. So Canterbury, again, with nighttime thoroughbreds available tonight. This will go off about 8:40. The Canterbury Derby scheduled on the grass. So we'll see how that plays out. Let me hit you with some news and notes before we wrap it up, because there's some interesting news and notes to tuck away in your back pocket, particularly if you're playing Woodbine tomorrow. Scheduled up in the Toronto area to be hot. And so with the extreme heat forecast for tomorrow, Sunday, Woodbine has moved their post time. So again, if you like the racing north of the border, tomorrow, Sunday, post time at Woodbine has been moved to 4 p.m. So just note that. I mean, if you're tuned in earlier in the afternoon and you're not seeing Woodbine, that's why. They're not there. They're going to be there a little bit later. 4 p.m. post time due to the heat tomorrow, Sunday at Woodbine. So keep that in mind. Good news down at the fairgrounds. I mentioned it earlier this week, but for folks who maybe aren't tuned in during the week, it looks like the game of chicken down in Louisiana with the fairgrounds, Churchill and the government down in Louisiana. They've maybe come to a meeting of the minds. It looks like everything is a go for this year, the return of fairgrounds. So the dispute has ended. The meet scheduled to be held from November 22nd this year to March 23rd, 2026. And, it's an important part of the winter racing schedule in this country. And certainly I had the Great 3-Year-Old Series, the Great 3-Year-Old Filly Series. And there was some real trepidation within the past couple of weeks about that meet, as Churchill, the owner of Fairgrounds, was making noise that they weren't going to come back because they were upset about some of the changes that have been made, particularly with their historical racing machines. The government down there responded, as they say, it just seemed to be a game of chicken going on, but it seems like cooler heads have prevailed. So good news there down in Louisiana. It looks like Fairgrounds set to roll again this year. And just as we wrap up this week's thoroughbred poll, National Thoroughbred poll from the National Thoroughbred Racing Association. And again, last week I mentioned it. Early in the year, there's a 3-year-old poll and just an overall poll. 3-year-old poll just goes through the Triple Crown. And so that did end last week after the Triple Crown. So this week it was only the overall poll. And there really wasn't much of a shakeup in here. Journalism, I'm always surprised when there isn't a whole lot of activity really to hang your hat on for voters and horses make moves. I mean, this seemed like would potentially be a fairly quiet week. But journalism went from number 9 to number 6. Not sure what precipitated that, but regardless, 1 and 2 are the same: Raging Torrent and Fierceness. I put out on social media as we're approaching the middle portion of the year, my top 5 currently, and I had Fierceness. I said I could have gone either way, but I put Fierceness just ahead of Raging Torrent. On the fact that I think Fierceness is a little more of a, classic distance isn't right, but a 2-turn horses compared to 1 turn for Raging Torrent. But I mean, I'm not necessarily prejudiced against this solid 1-turn campaign at the quality Raging Torrent has done it. And again, I had those separated very slightly, but I tilted just towards Fierceness. I had Mind Frame in the mix. I had Sovereignty in my mix as well. And Sovereignty is in the poll this week, number 3. Mind Frame's number 4. Hit Show 5. Journalism, number 6, as I say, up from number 9. Torpedo Anna, going to be interesting to see her next start. She's 7. White Abario, going to be interesting to see his next start as well. White Abario, 8. Copia, 9. And Locked is number 10. So there's your poll from this week. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. Let me just remind you one more time that here at the Clubhouse Racebook today, $100 win-a-bet contest. We'd love to have you stop down and enjoy all the action here at the Racebook and have a little extra fun as well with the win-a-bet contest. And don't forget, Monday, we will be live from the Finger Lakes OTB on the road. Tune into the network and enjoy all the live cut-ins throughout the afternoon. We always have a lot of fun out at the Finger Lakes. If you'd like to come out, certainly if you do, it's supposed to be a nice day, I think, maybe a little warm. But if you stop by our location and say hello, regardless of whether you're there or watching via OTB TV, sign up for your chance to be on the bankroll team. Entries are open now at capitalotb.com. Go to the promotions link, look for the bankroll graphic, click on that, fill out the form. Entries will be open until sometime fairly early tomorrow. Then we'll randomly select the bankroll team. I'll be playing on Monday afternoon live from the Finger Lakes. Looking forward to it. Speaking of live, we will be back live in about an hour and a half or so with OTB Live for a Saturday afternoon. I'm going to take a look at a little Monmouth and some Belmont at Aqueduct. If you go to the website, there's also some Churchill on there because we'll have Churchill tonight. So you can check that out on the one sheet at capitalotb.com. Otherwise, going to wrap it up for this Saturday morning. As always, appreciate your tuning in. And the Royal Ascot action will continue through the remainder of their card here on the network. And again, we will have plenty of great action coming up on the network this afternoon, including I'll be looking at a little Belmont at Aqueduct and Monmouth and more coming up a little bit later on. So we'll see you then. We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
Second on the outside of Drawn to Dream. And they're a length or so in front of Lemzerba in 4. Uluru races 5 on the outside of Lady Doris, and the back marker of the 7 is Lafayette. So as they head up past the winning post and begin the right-handed swing to bring them towards the entrance to the back.